I'm not sure he was a homo. Well, I guess he was a homo. He wanted to f me in my basically because he was trying to force me to do something that I didn't want to do.
I walked by him, they jumped me from behind, knocked me down, beat me up, handcuffed me behind.
Columbia Records dropped Johnny Cash off their label. I had been on their record label for almost 20 years, and I refused to record for them anymore for dropping my friend Johnny Cash off the label.
Where did you go wrong?
I think, I went to reform school when I was 9 years old, and I grew up in institutions.
David Allan Coe, the outlaw country legend who spent years spinning tales that were larger than life. And at 86, the real facts behind his controversial career are finally being exposed. Fabricated prison stories and accusations that nearly destroyed his legacy mark a journey that reveals the complicated truth behind one of country music's most divisive figures.
I filed bankruptcy a few years ago, and I had some Internal Revenue Service problems.
Probably my ideals and my values are different than most.
And they took, all the great songs that I've written, money songs that I've written, and they get all the money from them songs, and they own the songs to my children.
And I just think it's wrong.
I believe in realism a lot more than probably they do.
September 6th, 1939 brought David Allan Coe into the world in Akron, Ohio. But unlike the romanticized backstory he would later create, his early years were marked by genuine hardship. The star Commonwealth for Boys in Michigan became his home in 1948 when he was just 9 years old, and this wasn't a brief stay. What followed was roughly 2 decades moving in and out of various correctional facilities throughout the 1,950 seconds and 60 seconds, a pattern that would shape everything that came after. Ohio State Penitentiary held Coe for 3 years during one of these terms, and that's when something unexpected happened. Blues musician Screamin' Jay Hawkins recognized something in the troubled young man and encouraged him to write songs, planting the seeds for what would eventually become Coe's music career. This mentorship gave him a creative outlet during some of his darkest days, teaching him that words and melodies could be a way out. Freedom came in 1967 after his final release, and Coe made a decision that would change his life forever when he moved to Nashville with nothing but determination and a dream. The image he created during this period became the stuff of legend, living in a Cadillac hearse while busking in front of the historic Ryman Auditorium and trying to catch the attention of anyone in the music business who would listen. The approach was unusual, but it fit perfectly with the outlaw image he was beginning to craft for himself. Penitentiary Blues hit shelves in 1970 as Coe's debut album, drawing directly from his years of incarceration and catching enough attention that he ended up touring with the rock band Grand Funk Railroad. The pairing was unexpected, showing that Coe's music could cross genre boundaries in ways nobody anticipated. His songwriting brought him real success in Nashville first, not his performing. Tanya Tucker recorded Coe's song Would You Lay With Me in a Field of Stone in 1973, and it shot straight to #1 on the country charts while proving he had serious talent. Johnny Paycheck's version of Coe's Take This Job and Shove It followed, becoming an anthem for working-class America and establishing Coe's reputation in Nashville, even if his personal reputation was questionable. These songwriting successes opened doors that his prison record had kept locked. Columbia Records signed him in 1973, and The Mysterious Rhinestone Cowboy arrived in 1974 with A Sad Country Song, which Rolling Stone would later recognize as one of the essential country album tracks. But 1975 brought Once Upon a Rhyme and gave Coe his signature hit as a performer when You Never Even Called Me By My Name reached the country top 10 and became the song most associated with him. The track was clever and self-aware, perfectly capturing the outlaw country spirit of the era while establishing Coe as more than just a songwriter for hire. Albums kept coming through the mid to late 1970 seconds with Long-Haired Redneck in 1976 and Rides Again in 1977, and Coe's music blended traditional country with blues and outlaw elements while refusing to apologize for profanity and provocative imagery. His 1977 album featured If That Ain't Country, I'll Kiss Your Ass, complete with a controversial slur, pushing boundaries that mainstream country radio wouldn't touch and building a reputation as someone who couldn't be controlled by the Nashville establishment. Independent release came in 1978 with Nothing Sacred, followed by the 1982 Underground album. And these records contained satirical songs with explicit content that included slurs based on background and orientation. Major labels wouldn't touch the material, but Coe defended these songs as ribald satire, reflecting stereotypes he grew up hearing, and explained his songwriting philosophy by saying to him, songwriting was painting a picture, and he grew up all his life hearing lazy as a Mexican, working like an N-word, or dumb as a Polak, calling it stereotype stuff. The New York Times labeled these songs in a 2000 profile as among the most inappropriate, disrespectful, and obscene by any pop songwriter, and the controversy followed Coe for the rest of his career. Critics accused him of promoting hatred, which Coe denied by stating that anyone who would look at him and say he was in that category would have to be out of their mind. His position remained that the lyrics were commentary on the language and attitudes he witnessed growing up, rather than his personal beliefs. But the damage was done, and that's when the story gets really interesting. Because here's where the truth Coe is finally facing comes into focus. Decades of building his outlaw image on dramatic stories about his past included claims that he had taken someone's life in self-defense, spent time on the row awaiting punishment, had 365 tattoos, was a member of the Hells Angels and Outlaws motorcycle clubs, and even practiced multiple marriages as a so-called Mormon priest with 9 wives. The problem turned out to be simple. None of it was true. A documentarian investigating Coe's claims discovered that his actual charges were possession of burglary tools and inappropriate literature, which were serious offenses but nothing close to the violent backstory he'd been telling for years. No incident involving taking a life, no time on the row, and most of his other claims were equally fabricated, creating a persona built entirely on lies. Fellow musicians called him out, with Waylon Jennings reportedly saying that Coe could not tell the truth if he tried and considered many of his prison stories exaggerated, and this came from someone within the outlaw country circle, with Jennings' mother Jessica, known as Jessie Coulter, actually being Coe's stepmother. Tyler Mahan Coe would later become a respected country music historian and creator of the podcast and Rhinestones, and he called his father a notorious fabulist whose stories provided an immersive education even if imperfect. The younger Coe has had to reckon with separating his father's genuine musical contributions from the mythology that surrounded them, doing the work of fact-checking that his father never bothered with. Real musical success did come in the 1,980 seconds despite the controversy and fabrications, and his 1,983 single, The Ride, reached #1 on the Cashbox Country chart, while Mona Lisa Lost Her Smile peaked at #2 in 1984. These were genuine hits that proved Coe's talent as a performer and not just a songwriter, showing that beneath all the lies was actual ability. His final major label album, Son of the South, arrived in 1986, featuring Confederate imagery on the cover, another controversial choice that further alienated him from mainstream country music and closed doors that were already mostly shut. Coe countered criticism of that album by saying he was proud of his son and faith and not against anything or any nationalities. But the damage to his reputation was done. Major Nashville country music halls of fame still have not inducted him as of 2025. Reportedly, due to his explicit songs and confrontational attitude toward the establishment, and his rebellious image and explicit material kept him off mainstream country playlists and awards consideration throughout his career. The outlaw persona that was supposed to make him a legend ended up making him an outcast. Reissuing Nothing Sacred and Underground album on CD came in 1990, bringing his most controversial material back into circulation as Coe continued recording independently and touring internationally. A devoted cult following grew even as mainstream success stayed out of reach, and between 1999 and 2006, he collaborated with heavy metal artists including Dimebag Darrell, resulting in the album Rebel Meets Rebel, released in 2006. The metal country hybrid showed Coe was still pushing boundaries and refusing to fit into any box Nashville tried to build for him. Opening for Kid Rock on tour in 2000 brought Coe a new generation of fans who appreciated his outlaw attitude But that same year, Neil Strauss's New York Times profile brought renewed attention to his most controversial material. Coe had to publicly defend himself once again, maintaining his stance that the songs were satirical commentary rather than expressions of personal belief, though fewer people were listening by then. Personal life proved equally complicated, with 6 official marriages by 2010 and 4 children, including son Tyler, born in 1981, and 3 daughters. One daughter named Tanya Montana appeared in a CBS music video with him in 1987, but family harmony wasn't his strength. Reports surfaced in 2007 that Coe owed over $300,000 in back support payments for his children, a debt that revealed his financial struggles despite decades in the music business, and showed that the money from hit songs had disappeared somewhere along the way. Financial troubles deepened in 2015 when Coe pleaded guilty to charges involving unpaid obligations, and prosecutors alleged he owed approximately $388,000 for 2009, $35,000 for 2011, and $42,000 for 2013. June 2016 brought a sentence of 3 years probation with no time behind bars, a fortunate outcome for a man who'd spent so much of his earlier life incarcerated, and proof that even the government couldn't bring themselves to lock up an aging country legend. Health challenges tested Coe when he underwent knee replacement surgery in April 2019, but worse came in August 2021. At age 81, he was hospitalized after testing positive for the virus that caused the global health crisis, and his family and fans worried this might be the end. Coe pulled through and was released from the hospital by late August, though his official website noted he was still recovering from long-term effects as of late 2023. Health updates have been limited mostly to social media posts, keeping fans guessing about his actual condition. Kimberly Hastings, known as Kim, has been one constant through all these challenges, performing as his backup singer before their relationship became something more. The couple had been together since 2001 and finally married in a Las Vegas ceremony in 2010, making her Coe's 6th wife when he was 71 years old. Asked why he decided to marry after being together for 9 years, Coe gave a characteristically blunt answer about getting tired of making decisions for himself, and country star Toby Keith served as an official witness at the ceremony. Florida remains home for Coe and Kim, where they previously resided in Key West and continue living together today. Guest vocals on a Moonshine Bandits album came in 2017, and 2024 brought an appearance on Hardy's rock country album Quit, when Coe sang on the track Live Forever alongside Hank Williams III at age 85. These recent collaborations show that even in his mid-80s, Coe remains musically active and relevant to newer generations of country and rock artists who appreciate his outlaw legacy and don't care about the controversies that kept him out of the establishment. 5 decades and nearly 50 albums mark Coe's career now, released through various labels including Plantation, Columbia, and numerous self-releases. His official website continues to highlight this impressive discography, though few updates have appeared beyond 2020, and rumors of a comeback album occasionally surface on the internet but remain unverified. The man keeps going, but the machine behind him has mostly stopped. What truth is David Allan Coe finally facing at 86? Recognition that his legacy is deeply complicated, that's what. Fabricated stories that built his outlaw mystique have been thoroughly debunked, and the controversial songs that were supposedly satire have permanently damaged his reputation and kept him out of the halls of fame his songwriting talent might have earned him. Financial and legal troubles revealed a man who struggled to manage success when he found it, spending money as fast as it came in and avoiding responsibilities that other people handle without thinking. But the truth also includes his genuine contributions to country music, the legitimate #1 hits he wrote for other artists, and the way he blended country, blues, and outlaw influences in ways nobody else was doing. Generations of artists who valued authenticity and rebellion over commercial success point to him as an influence, and at 86 he's still here, still married to Kim, still living in Florida, still occasionally recording, and still engaging with fans who appreciate what he brought to country music, even if Nashville never gave him the credit. Documented facts show a man whose real story was dramatic enough without embellishment. Born into hardship, institutionalized as a child, spending his youth in correctional facilities, teaching himself songwriting, sleeping in a hearse while chasing his dreams, and ultimately achieving success as both a songwriter and performer makes for a remarkable journey. The fabrications and controversies obscured this genuine story, creating a persona that ultimately worked against him and destroyed the very legacy he was trying to build. Music historians like his son Tyler work today to separate fact from fiction in Coe's story, and the younger Coe's approach of careful fact-checking combined with acknowledgement of his father's storytelling nature represents perhaps the most honest way to understand David Allan Coe's place in country music history. His father may have been a notorious fabulist, but the fables don't erase the real achievements or the real music that changed how people thought about what country music could be. September 2025 will bring Coe's 87th birthday, and he remains a living legend whose career shows both the promise and the pitfalls of the outlaw country movement. Some view him as a cult figure whose legacy is overshadowed by controversy, while others see a talented songwriter who sabotaged his own career with provocative choices and false claims that nobody asked for. The truth sits somewhere in between, as it usually does when you're dealing with someone who made lying an art form. David Allan Coe's story reminds us that in country music, perhaps more than any other genre, authenticity matters above everything else. The irony is that Coe's attempts to manufacture an authentic outlaw image through fabricated stories ultimately undermine the genuine outlaw spirit in his music, destroying the very thing he was trying to create. At 86, the truth finally being revealed isn't a dramatic confession or shocking revelation, but simply the documented facts replacing the mythology and allowing us to see both the man's real failures and his real achievements clearly for the first time in his entire career.